Okay, so I'm doing my speech over why I think school should start later in the day. So we've all been there. It's Monday morning in bed, and you're really comfortable, and you just never want to leave your bed. That is until your alarm goes off super early, and you have to go to school. Well, maybe it doesn't always have to be that way. So today I will be trying to persuade you on why I think school should start later in the day so you can be better exposed to the benefits of starting earlier. Knowing about what your body goes through with earlier start times can be very beneficial for you. Knowing about the better exposed to the benefits of starting school. And many of you, like myself, have been getting up early for school for years and years, so we know the struggles and what happens to us every day for years. So during my speech, I'll provide you information on the benefits of starting school later, because starting school earlier makes for problems such as a lack of sleep for students. You have more accidents and injuries, and the students cannot perform as well. So let's begin with a lack of sleep for students with earlier start times. A lack of sleep the night before is never good for us, even though it happens quite frequently. As high school students, we never get as much sleep as we would usually like to, especially with earlier start times, like the last year when it started. The AASM, the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, recommends that teenagers should sleep 8 to 10 hours a night. But according to the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, almost 70% of high school students report sleeping 7 hours or less on a regular basis. So for most of us high schoolers, we usually fall into this category. I know I do a lot of times. And because many schools start before 8 a.m., most students are always falling behind on these recommended sleeping targets. This can have serious consequences on our bodies, such as a chronic sleep loss among teenagers, a higher risk for depressive symptoms, and an increase in poor school performance. Which comes to my next point, which is students not performing as well with these early start times. Oh yeah, and this is a picture just pretty much saying, the one on the left is teens need 8.5 to 9.5 hours, but on the next one it's saying only 2/3 of high school students get less than 7 hours of sleep. Since school start times start so early, it makes for students not performing as well in school. Most of us have been there where we have a test tomorrow, and we know we didn't get enough sleep, and we're almost late to class. We've all been there. With later start times, students will be able to perform better during the start of class. From an Atlantic article, Why School Should Start Later, explains that in more than 40 states, at least 75% of public schools start earlier than 8:30 a.m. According to the CDC's report, this is usually not good for students, as they cannot learn as well. Everyone learns better when they're awake. Starting earlier cannot work for kids because students need enough sleep to start fully understanding and start learning. A Colby College economist, Finley Edwards, found that a 1-hour delay in school start times increased math and reading test scores by 3 percentile points. Even more surprising, that the lowest scoring kids scored the best, or showed the biggest jumps in scores. This just shows that later start times can be very important to students. And so now that I've talked about the bad performance of school, let me talk about the injuries and accidents related to earlier school start times. Not getting enough sleep can lead to more injuries on the field while playing sports. In an LA Times newspaper article, Why School Should Start Later in the Day, it states that students' abilities who get enough sleep are far less likely to get injured. In a 2012 study of Los Angeles middle and high school students, found that getting less than 8 hours of sleep is the strongest predictor of injury. 2/3 of the athletes didn't meet this threshold, got injured. So earlier school start times can really mean a lack of sleep, which means more injuries and less play time for us. This lack of sleep can also cause a lot of accidents while we are driving to school. According to a Times Magazine article, Why Teens May Do Better When School Starts Later, suggests that delaying the start of school just by 30 minutes to an hour can reduce automobile accidents caused by drowsy teen drivers. In a 2008 study in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine, crash rates fell by 16.5% just after a school year. Districts shifted the times just an hour later compared to the 2 years before. And we've all been there once in our lives while driving, but you might not have known that the danger to your safety and to others around you. And this is just another chart. So this is the amount of sleep. So 45% of students said that they didn't receive enough sleep on the night, and then on the right it says drowsy drivers. 49% said they never drove while they were tired, but more than half, 51%, said they at least drove once or more times a month drowsy. So today I have persuaded you on why I think that school should start later in the day, because it makes for problems. Because starting early makes for problems such as the lack of sleep for students. Students cannot perform as well in school, and the increase of injuries and accidents. So should you ever be asked about starting school earlier or later, I hope you will take into consideration, because of that, it can have a big impact on your life and you just might not know it. So as I stated in my introduction, I hope this helped you make a decision on your take on school times, and because it is important to know about what happens to you on earlier school start times.